Jack Thorne once again for the Movie Sellers Month of Horrors 2024 Terrors Through Time. How awesome a name is that? I love it. Anyway, we're moving right along. We are on to number 4, my fourth pick, 1960s decade. And I have chosen Mario Bava's directorial debut, Black Sunday, starring Barbara Steele. Now, 1960. For Galatea Production Company in Italy, Mario Bava was an up-and-coming cinematographer who had done a number of films cinematography. He had also become quite adept at things like special effects, creating physical special effects. He had worked a lot on writing, and he was able to finish directing a couple of films that had been walked away from by other directors that he had been hired to finish. So the president of the company, Leonello Santi, he decided he was going to give Bava his big shot. He was getting a lot of requests for genre films, and because ever since Hammer had released Dracula and Curse of Frankenstein, there was now a big market for horror in color. So Bava decided that he was going to start off in black and white. And there was a specific reason for that. Bava could have gone to color in this film if he had wanted to, obviously. But he did black and white because the makeup that he used for Barbara Steele to age her, she's the main character, the witch, Asa. He would use different grease pencils, like red and green grease pencils, to age her face, and then he would shift the light from green to red, and the lines would reappear or disappear from her face, just right in front of the camera, and it like magic. So obviously he could not show this in color. In color it will not work, but in black and white it worked perfectly. So that's probably one of the great special effects in addition, but it also just set design, everything. Bava was clearly a visionary and ahead of his time, and they didn't know it then, but he was going to become the future of Italian filmmaking, because the next popular wave of Italian films was they had just gotten into the sword and sandal epics like Hercules and all that, and now they were getting into horror. So so this was Bava's thing. He really was into violence and gore and sexualizing it. So this was a very new concept in Italy. But of course, Italy being, very libertine, they embraced it. The film itself did not do great critically, and it did well at the box office, really did well in America, much better than it did over there. But it single-handedly sparked a brand new genre, what we have come to know as giallo. Mario Bava is the nexus of that. He's where it started. He took a gothic horror film in Black Sunday, and he introduced a whole bunch of new elements and basically created what was the beginnings of a new genre, and what was later more developed in the Girl Who Knew Too Much, or The Woman Who Knew Too Much, I think, and definitely Blood and Black Lace. 63 and 64 were huge years for Bava. He did Black Sabbath during that time, The Whip and the Body. So just his first films that really got him noticed were during those years. But it all started with Black Sunday. Now, Barbara Steele, who he knew he wanted right away because he wanted a woman with really piercing eyes. And Barbara Steele had those eyes. She was a bit of a headache to work with. She was a British actress. She was paranoid about Italians, and apparently not completely altogether there with her mental health. I don't believe. So she was kind of almost like a little bit of a toned down version of a female Klaus Kinski. She just was very unreasonable, and difficult to deal with, and Bava had his hands full with her. But she was perfect, and she became a horror movie icon in Europe, and especially in Italy, because of this film, and it launched her on a very successful career path. She became the Scream Queen, one of the earliest Scream Queens. So anyway, Black Sunday. Let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and start with the plot here. So, in 1630s Moldavia, there is a vampiric witch who is also a countess, and her name is Asavaida. And she also has a lover named Yavuto, who works with her, and they are sentenced to death for sorcery. And Asa's brother Griabi is the one who sentences her, and she vows revenge on her brother there in front of everybody, and she basically puts a curse on him and all of his descendants. And so then Griabi proceeds to have his men hammer these bronze masks that they call the Mask of the Devil. And it's a bronze mask with spikes on the inside coming out of it from the front. So they fix this mask to her and Yavuto's face, and they hammer it onto their head. And this was shocking for 1960. But so they do that, and they're getting ready to burn them at the stake. And all of a sudden, a big storm whips up, and it rains, and they can't do it. So they are not able to burn Asa and Yavuto as they like, and their bodies wind up surviving. So now 200 years later, in the 1800s, we have a Dr. Choma Krujevan and his assistant Dr. Andrei Gorobek, who are traveling through Moldavia on their way to a medical conference, and their carriage breaks down. So while they're waiting for their coachman to fix it, they're wandering around the area, and they stumble by this ancient crypt, of course. And whose crypt does it actually happen to be? Asavaida, of course. And so they discover her tomb. There is a glass glass square that's been put into this sarcophagus or whatever it is, and you can see through it, and you can see the mask, the devil's mask, and that's been hammered onto her face. So he actually winds up breaking the glass when a bat flies and kind of attacks him. So he like swings at it and stuff, and he hits it, and he breaks the glass, and he also breaks the cross above it that was sealing her sarcophagus. So he decides to take her death mask off, and it shows that she actually has not become a skeleton. She still has skin and flesh, and she's still altogether there. So yeah, he's freaking out, and he accidentally cuts his hand on the glass, and a few drops of blood drip onto Asa, and he leaves. So you can tell what's coming. So so the outside, they meet with a woman named Katya Vaida, who is a young, I believe, niece of the current Lord Vaida, or Prince Vaida. And she, of course, is the spitting image of Asa. Same eyes, it's the same girl. So, and of course, also played by Barbara Steele. And so Now, Gorobek, the assistant, he immediately falls in love with Katya. And so he decides that he is going to take it upon himself to personally become her protector. And but they go off to an inn, and meanwhile, back at Asa's crypt, Kruyvan's blood has brought her back to consciousness. And there's some great effects with showing her eyes coming back up. It's just really freaky looking. But so she starts coming back, and then she contacts her lover, Yavuto, who is not buried in the same place, but she contacts him telepathically and basically raises him from the dead again, and sends him to go to Prince Vida's castle. When he gets there, Vida tries to hold up a crucifix to ward him off, but he's so terrified by what's going on, he can't move. He's like paralyzed, and her brother Constantine, she has a brother here too. Constantine sends a servant to go get Dr. Kruyvan, but the servant's killed on the way before he can get to the inn. Now Yavuto goes instead, and he brings Kruyvan to the castle and tells him that his services are needed. So what he actually does is he leads Kruyvan up to Asa's crypt, and she hypnotizes him and says that she is going to take the rest of his blood, kisses him, and turns him into a love zombie. So anyway, she tells Kruyvan to look out for Katya, because she's trying to set up what's going to happen. And she orders him to remove the crucifix from the room so it will not interfere. And it also will allow Yavuto to come and go as he pleases. Asa's plan is to revive herself by draining her descendant Katya. This is her descendant. So these are the descendants of her brother. So she is going to drain Katya of her life, and because it's basically her job to house Asa's soul. So she's going to take over this body. So when Gorobek hears that Kruyvan abandoned his patient before he died, because they think he's dead, he questions Sonia, who's a young girl who saw Yavuto take Kruyvan to the castle, and she said that Kruyvan's escort, she points to a painting on the wall, and it's Yavuto. And he's like, okay, that's strange. But anyway, sorry. So now they go and Gorobek goes with a priest to go to Yavuto's grave, and then they find Kruyvan's body in his grave. So they realize that he's now undead, and they kill him by driving a nail through his eye. Yeah. Anyway, when they get back to Asa's crypt, Yavuto throws... Constantine shows up, and he tries to help, but Yavuto throws him into the death pit, which is in the middle of the room, of course. And then he takes Katya to Asa. So he got Katya too. So now Asa drains Katya of all of her youth. So she's now transformed her into basically herself, and she now is young looking. And so then she goes to take her blood, and she can't do it because Katya has a cross around her neck. So that doesn't work. But while that's happening, Gorobek gets there, and he tries to save Katya, but he's attacked by Yavuto, and he pushes him to the edge of the death pit, And then Constantine, the brother, he is hanging on, and he just barely has enough strength to pull Yavuto down into the death pit with him and to get Gorobek clear so he can go help Katya. And of course, when he goes, Asa pretends to be Katya, and she says, "It's, stop her," But he looks and he sees that Katya, who he was going to kill, has a crucifix on. So he says, nope. And he turns around on Asa and rips her robe open, and it's like a skeletal frame underneath. Then, finally, the priest that was with Gorobek before, he arrives with a bunch of the townspeople, and they're all carrying torches of stuff, and they bring them in, and they burn Asa to death. And she winds up perishing in the fire that originally was supposed to take her in the beginning. Katya awakens, and she's normal again and young, and she gets to live a happy ending with Gorobek. And that's it. Black Sunday. Anyway, like I said, the film did well, mostly in America, but it critically, most of the critics didn't get it at first. But pretty soon, a lot of critics started saying, no, this is a well-made film. And they really started, crediting Bava for his cinematography, his special effects, and now his director's vision. He was also gifted with sets. Great guy. I mean, he was a journeyman. He knew how to, it was like, he was another one of those auteur directors that can do everybody's job on the film. So, Bava, we see in Bava the beginning of the giallo genre, and Dario Argento, who is my next film, and Lucio Fulci, they all followed in his footsteps, and he took a previous art form and he helped change it into something new. Giallo with the sexual component added and stuff, that was pretty new. And he took it and ran with it and made an incredible career out of it. So that's it. That's all I have. I am going to give this film 8.5 stars, and it's a kind of a balance between what Bava had to work with and what his creativity actually made happen. It's pretty incredible. And if you watch it specifically from that perspective, it becomes a much more impressive film. And especially considering how much influence it had on the genre, on the horror genre afterward. So anyway, that's it. Jack Thorne. Hope you guys continue to have a great month, and we will see you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.